Well, the Police Minister and the State Security Minister have been meeting with farming groups in an attempt to calm tensions. And I'm joined now by the Chairman of the Board of the Southern African Agri Initiative, Dr. Theo de Jager. He's also, of course, President of the World Farmers Organization. Good evening, Dr. de Jager. Thank you very much for your time. I know that you've been involved in those meetings. Could you just give us the very latest on what the interventions are and what the thinking is on how to calm tensions in the area?
Things are rather tense here in the northeastern Free State, and you can sense it when you drive through these towns and when you engage with the farmers. Where we are now, things seem to polarize even further with the EFF that has made some threats, and they say they are coming to Senekal on Friday. And of course there are large numbers of farmers who also indicated that they would come, sympathizers of farmers and families of farmers from all over the country like they did a week ago. And in this polarization, there seems to be one of two ways. Either it's going to escalate, and this road has all the potential to lead to severe conflict, or we need to move to the middle ground. And as farmers' organizations, all of our farmers' organizations are really working very hard to move more people into the middle ground and to ensure that there is a meaningful but also an action-orientated debate on how do we bring to a stop this terrible phenomenon of farm murders.
And as the farmer that was interviewed by ENCA, he made the point, Ben van Wyk, that it is not just white farmers being attacked. It is black farmers and it is farm workers as well. And yet still this persistence around a racial element, that there's an element of racial revenge in some of these attacks. In terms of understanding the racial dynamics, how do you see it?
It is true that black farmers are also suffering from these attacks, and that they are as vulnerable to crime, to stock theft, to land issues, and of course to murders as the white farmers are, although the numbers are not as high as on the white farms. On white farmers, there is a political element to it. It is all about the land debate too. It's also about political parties singing "kill the farmer, kill the boer." It's also about the notion that land had been stolen and that there is somehow a justification for attacks on farms. And this makes farmers not only feeling very vulnerable, it also created a kind of a sense of mistrust in some of our systems. Last night, in a very wide debate amongst religious leaders, farmers leaders, leaders of our judicial system, it was said very straightforward that we need to restore the faith in the police. We need to restore the faith in the prosecuting authorities. And we need to restore more trust amongst different communities.
At what point is food security going to be under threat? And do you think we've reached that point?
I don't think we have reached the point where food security is under threat. We have enough food today to feed South Africa for months if there is no new production. And there will be a lot of new production because we've already had a wonderful early raining season. In our lifetime, food security has not been under risk. What is under risk now is choices young farmers make. Many farming families opt out of the farms, move to small towns. Many of them say, I cannot raise my children or I cannot leave my wife on a farm. And when you are far from your farm, you do not invest in the same way you would when you're on the farm. And of course, a farmer leaving his farm leaves the crops and the livestock more vulnerable to stock theft. It's also about the brightest young minds not opting for agriculture as a career choice because they feel it is not safe.
We have heard some moves from the Agriculture Land Reform Minister, Theo de Jager, gazetting the new bill around expropriation without compensation, and it seems by all accounts to be a fairly measured approach. Obviously the EFF is not happy with it, but also at the same time we're hearing about the release of state land for emerging and black farmers to really get into farming. Do you think those interventions are the long-term needs for quelling this tension, the sense that, you talk about the politicization where a lot of black people feel the land has been taken from them, and if they see a lack of progress in land reform, there is an anger. At the extreme end, as you say, you might see revenge attacks. Do you think that the government is moving in the right direction, both in terms of policy changes, releasing state land, but also in terms of the interventions you've seen over the last few days with the police and state security ministers?
You must forgive me if I'm a bit skeptical about the latest developments as a fundamental policy change. Every country has an expropriation act. There's nothing wrong with expropriating land for the public good. It is how the process goes up to expropriation, who decides on it and what the compensation is, whether it is fair and equitable. Who would invest on a farm? Who would plant a tree if you're not sure that you will get your money back if you are forced into a transaction? And the frustration from black farmers is a bit different from the frustration with political activists who say, we want our land because it's been stolen from us. The fact is that black farmers in South Africa is as much delivered to failure. They don't own their land. They don't have access to financing. They really struggle with access to proper extension services and linkages to markets. The system has failed black farmers as much as it is failing white farmers. What we need is a complete revamping of that department and a re-strategizing on agricultural development. And we need to measurably create a class of profitable black farmers in South Africa. We are not on that route at the moment.
In the short term, Senekal on Friday, the EFF is planning to go there to what they say protect government property, which of course is what the police is there to do. Afriforum are also planning a protest. I do think that I heard the Freedom Front Plus saying let's just stay away and not create a powder keg situation. What is your sense of how things might play out on Friday? Are you seeing positive signs that the police minister can diffuse tensions?
I really hope so. I really hope so. I know that many farmers will be coming to Senekal. We had an indication that the people will come from all nine the provinces again, and they come simply to pay their respects to the family. They want to show the family that they share in the pain. They want to say that we are angry and we are disappointed and that we've had enough. The EFF says that it is going to protect government property. I don't think that government property is really under threat here. My suspicion is that the security forces will cordon off this town. I don't think it would be that easy to come into Senekal this time. If I was in the police or in the defense force, I would most certainly have made sure that we are better equipped and that there would be more personnel to stop anyone from stepping up over the lines. I really hope and I'm praying that there will be no standoff, that there will be no confrontation. From our side, from organized agriculture, and it's not only my own organization's side, from many of the other agricultural organizations too, we got to an agreement that we will do everything we can to make sure that there is proper discipline, that there is proper command and control, and we have taken some measures to ensure that any troublemakers would be taken out of the context we would like to create here.
And you're referring to potential troublemakers within your own ranks, is that correct?
Yes, within our own ranks. And of course, we will ensure that in the areas which we occupy, when we have discussions on rural safety, and we will be joined by a number of other organizations. I know that some of the organizations, even the Institute for Racial Relations, will table its new rural safety plan here. We are very curious about that. We have also employed a few private security companies to make sure that there is no standoff that might lead to an explosive situation.
Well, thank you very much for your time this evening. We do appreciate it. That was the chairman of the board of the Southern African Agri Initiative, Dr. Theo de Jager.